Hello friends, welcome back to the kitchen. Today I thought I'd take you with me as we stock up the apothecary. As you probably know, if you've seen any of my videos before, really big on herbal medicine, doing as much as we can at home, leaving the doctors to treat the people who really need them. And I've been really getting interested in this. I've got a load of herb books for my Christmas and birthday presents and things. And so I've stocked up on the vodka. We've got some jars, we've got some herbs. I'm going to make tinctures, we may make an oxymel or two, and some oils ready to make herbal salves and creams and things. So let's get cracking. So let's have a look what we've had a delivery of. Let me just move the vodka out of the way. So we like to make tinctures. It's the most convenient way we've found. Tinctures and teas are really the most convenient ways we've found. And they take a little time. So I've ordered a bunch of herbs. We're going to set them going. They take about 4 to 6 weeks each. And as we go through, I'll tell you why I'm making them and what I want to make. I've got my little list down here. So I ordered some spearmint, 2 of those. My husband's really getting quite into drinking the teas. So I've ordered some spearmint for him. He loves that. Next one is Mullen. So Mullen Leaves. This is really great. I'm going to make an oil and a tincture with that because Mullen is apparently fantastic for salves to put onto scrapes and burns and things like that. So I've got some of that and to drink because I really like my teas. Some hawthorn berries. That's for my teas. That's going to stay. I'm probably not going to make a tincture out of that. And I've got some red clover for the same thing. I probably will make a tincture out of that eventually, but I've heard now. This is giving my age away a little bit, but as you're coming up to the menopause, red clover flower is supposed to be very, very good. Now, I'm not there yet, I might add. I probably don't even think I'm close yet, but it's something that I want ready. Few years yet, but we'll see. I want it, if it's not very nice, I want to get to like it. Do you know what I mean? I think these things can grow on you. So I've got some of that for my teas as well. Just running out of space on here. And then the next one is burdock root. I've got a couple of those. This is something I really do want to make a tincture out of, and I know you can make a decoction out of these. I think that's where you really, really, really stew it really well. And then, of course, ashwagandha. So I'm going to make a tincture out of that. That's going to go in teas as well. We're going to do something with that. I'll explain a little bit more as we go. So that is my box of tricks, and on my list as well. 1 second. I've also got a little list going on. I've got yarrow, which I've got on here, and I've got an oil going already for that. So I've got yarrow oil, and I've got the date that I set that going. And I'm going to make a tincture out of the oil. I've got a crampback sat over there, and I'm going to do a ginger as well. So someone's shouting me. I'll be back in a second. So in the end, I changed my mind and decided to start with echinacea. I had some in the cupboard and I was running out of the tincture. I'm using the folk method here, and that is basically filling up your jar about halfway with dried material, the plant of choice, and then putting vodka or your liquid of choice. It needs to be 40% alcohol or 80% proof. To make sure that it draws all the minerals out of it. We've found a brand that's not particularly bad tasting, and we use that all the time now. And so all I'm doing here is filling it to the top. And I've got a choice of a couple of lids here. So I've got a plastic lid, which you can get to fit mason jars. Everything has been washed and pre-sterilised, don't worry. And you've got the metal jars, obviously. And what I'm trying to explain here is the vodka can react with the metal lids and rings. So while I'm using the plastic ones, that's fine. But if you were going to use the metal one, you would put a piece of parchment paper in between it, just to stop it from reacting and making rust or any sort of reaction with the lid. And then I'm labelling it. You'll see in a little while why it's important to label these things. I've got one of those little Dymo label printers. I quite like the look of it and everything, so I just print it off. All I've done is said what it is, a tincture, and the date that I've made it, because it takes about 4 to 6 weeks for it to properly develop, to be ready to use. And obviously the longer you use it, the longer you leave it, the stronger it becomes. So that's the first one down. So the second one I decided to do was nettle. I've been using nettle in my teas quite a lot recently, and so I decided I was going to make a tincture with it as well. And again, I'm just using that folk method just to try and make it a little bit easier on myself because I'm making quite a lot today and going through vodka at quite a fast rate by the look of that on my second bottle already. I looked really good coming out of the shop with these. I had all healthy food in my cart and then 2 bottles of vodka. I don't think he would have believed me if I said I was making medicine. Again, I'm using the plastic lid there, going straight away to label them. So important. And then you're just going to put them in a dark place, shaking them once or twice a week, every day if you can, but keep them in the dark. And they will infuse better that way rather than in the sunlight. And then in 4 to 6 weeks after you've been shaking it every day, you can move on to the next stage, which is straining, which we'll come to another time. So if you look at the two side by side, you can see where you have to label them. Yeah, you see the difference. That's a little bit darker, obviously, and that's a little bit lighter, but they look very similar, so you have to label them. So at this point, I'm trying to decide what I do now because I've only got a little bit of vodka left. You can see me tapping, and I'm trying to decide which one is one of the most important. I'm showing you here that lid says beef stock. Now, this is where reusing your canning lids can come in handy because obviously you can't reuse canning lids for canning again. They're a single-use item. This is probably the last one because look, great use for them. So don't throw them away. Store them somewhere. We'll I keep them in a basket on the top of my kitchen cupboards. And yes, this I is a really absolutely great have use got for them funnel because you you can can reuse them. get it out as long as you wash them and clean them. You don't have to worry about what's written on it, and you can just use it. All it's doing is keeping it airtight. That's all it's doing. So you can reuse it, and I think that's just a great way not to waste these single-use materials because you can't use it again for canning, as we've said. But you can definitely use it for this. And this is where the parchment paper comes in handy because it won't now react with it. So a little bit of parchment paper on the top, screw the lid down, and it just stops it from reacting with the vodka. So we've got some with the plastic and some with the parchment paper on. Give it a good shake. I'm going to rename it because it's not beef stock. This was yarrow. I decided that I really wanted to go with the yarrow. I got the yarrow oil infusing, and I wanted a tincture as well because you can use that for internal and external use. So again, labelling it, really importantly labelling it. Now, again, you might think it's the only one with a metal lid and parchment paper. I'll remember what it is. You won't. I promise you, you will not remember what it is the next when you come to look at it and they all look the same. You won't remember, I promise. Now we're on to making an oxymel. Now an oxymel is another type of infusion where you use apple cider vinegar to extract all the goodness from the given material that you're trying to, the plant that you're trying to use for medicinal purposes. So I decided I was going to do a straight ginger one this time. So good for nourishment, good if you're feeling sick, good if you have nausea, good for any digestive problems. Also really fantastic just to nourish your body and to get vitamins and minerals into you. And you put this with raw honey. So we've got the apple cider vinegar and we've got the raw honey, and the combination of all the enzymes and all of the vitamins and minerals in those things really add to this raw, nourishing oxymel. Now, again, they're an acquired taste. But you can just add more honey as you're getting used to them. You add a bit more honey than you do apple cider vinegar, but we do approximately a half and half and quite enjoy it. If I was going to do it just for my son and for my husband, I might do it a bit more, but we all enjoy it. Well, I enjoy it. But we're going to fill this now, look, with the apple cider vinegar. This is organic apple cider vinegar with the mother. You want straight apple cider vinegar, not anything that's an apple cider vinegar drink or anything like this. Can't get the lid off. This is the raw honey going in now. It looks a big splodgy mess, and the honey is sort of sits round the bottom when you first do it. But as time goes on and you shake it each day, it all melds into this viscose, thick um, liquid, and it dissolves into the apple cider vinegar. Searching for some more paper because again it's an acid, so it will react with that lid there. So we're giving it a good shake. It doesn't dissolve straight away, but after a few days it will. So we're on to the last thing now. This is Mullen Leaves, and I've heard quite a good few things about these, in the sense that they're really fantastic support for your lungs. And because since having COVID the very first time round, when it first kicked off in the 2020, um, my lungs have been the first thing that goes when I get sick now. I can feel the illness in my lungs. And so to have a herbal support is a really great thing. So I'm going to steep some mullein leaves in some oil. So I absolutely did not get round to doing all of the tinctures that I wanted to do because I didn't get enough vodka. This is the thing, they do take a lot of it. And I got 2 bottles, and that is all that's left after 3. I did 3 Oxymels. Sorry, not Oxymels, tinctures, and then an Oxymel. Now, we try to cover a broad spectrum, but we obviously, you have to go with what happens in your house. So what we've noticed in our house is we get quite a lot of sore throats, we get quite a lot of coughs, and we get quite a bit of just general rundownness. So the nettle is a really good nutritional, full of goodness, full of minerals, and really deeply nourishing. So we can add that to all sorts of things. I add that a lot to tea. If you've seen my Instagram, I've been learning how to, learning how to brew longer to extract all of the benefits. And I'm hoping this will do the same thing. We can start taking it as part of a wellness tonic. The yarrow is fantastic for not only external uses, which I've got my oil on here for. I've got my yarrow oil that I did a few days ago, weeks ago, whatever. For externally, it's really great for stopping bleeding when it's in a tincture form, as well as in a natural form. So I've not grown it before, but I've got seeds to grow it this year. But obviously, I haven't got it straight away. So if you cut yourself in the garden, it's fantastic. It's an astringent, and it pulls together the skin and stops the bleeding. And then I've got what was my other one I did? Can't see now. Yarrow to echinacea. I've got echinacea. I've just almost run out. I've got probably 2 dropperfuls left of the echinacea and tincture. It's not the nicest tasting thing in the world, but you know, it does the job. Echinacea has been proved so many times in scientific studies to help, same as elderberry, to really help to support the immune system. I won't say boost, to support the immune system and to really reduce the time it takes for a cold and flu to process in your body. And seeing as that's what we keep getting a lot of lately, sniffles and coughs, I wanted to make another batch of that. It's not going to be ready for a few weeks yet, but I've also got my elderberry on there. I'll show you, I've got a few tinctures left. This is where I wanted some more. So I've got a chamomile one for adding to chamomile tincture. It's backwards, I know, but I've got a white willow bark tincture. That is amazing. If you can get hold of that, it is better than paracetamol, I tell you. I've got my elderberry, which I've got quite a bit of that left. So I'm good with that one, and that has really helped me. I've got it decanted into a little bottle there, and look, there's hardly any of that left because I've been taking it virtually every day. And I've still got, don't stop you getting it. I'm not saying that it's a cure-all that's going to stop you getting anything that's going round. However, it helps to support and nourish your body so that you can fight these things off better. And that's the last bit of my echinacea, and I did that with honey. I probably won't do that with this one. So they're the ones I've got, and now I've got nettle to add to that. Like I've said, some more echinacea and some yarrow. I'll go get some more vodka and I'll make some more because I've got loads more I want to do. When the herbs start coming through again, I'm going to make a nice respiratory oxymel and a throat spray. I've seen a really good recipe online for little throat spray that you can spray in the back of your throat that will help to not disinfect, that's the really wrong word when you're talking about bodies, antibacterial basically. And then it will help to soothe a cold if it's or a sore throat if it's starting at the back of your throat. So we're stocking up the apothecary. We are needing some more vodka, I know. But let me show me your last thing. I'll show you my Oxymels. I've shown you this before, but I've got my elderberry syrup, which the kids take every day, and they love it. But this is my, give it a shake. This is the sage and ginger Oxymel I made before. I think I've made a video on that before. And this was part. This is the last the part of the last batch. Can't speak. Sorry. And that's gone down really well as well. That really helps. My husband and my son are not the fondest taste of the vinegar part of it, but me and my daughter love it. Absolutely love it. We think it tastes like buttercup, but my husband insists it doesn't. But my husband doesn't like the acidy, vinegary taste. He doesn't like sour cream. He doesn't like, well, he's all right with mayo, but he doesn't like all of those vinegary kind of things. Whereas me and my daughter absolutely love them. So yeah, we'll come back when I've got some more vodka then. I've got some glycerite somewhere as well, but I made Hannah a feverfew one to help her if she gets a cold. I'll put basically sneezing. It's basically a homemade Calpol with feverfew. I really made sure that I looked up. As always, let me just put a disclaimer in this. Please, please, please do your own research, because this does not for any 1 second constitute me giving you medical advice. I'm just sharing what is working for me and my family. And the more we look into herbs and the more we look into how they support our bodies, and they've been around for thousands of years, and that, the more we look into that, the more we're convinced that they're there to help us if they're used correctly. But you have to make sure that you're using them correctly. Things like yarrow should not be used if you're pregnant, because it affects it affects your womb muscles and things like that. You don't want to mess about with that, of course you don't. Echinacea tincture should only be taken for a certain amount of time. Go do your own research. Please don't rely on me to tell you exactly what to do. I'm just showing you what we're doing. And it's been great to have you along. I'll show you when they're done. We'll come back when they're done and we'll strain them and we'll put them back on the shelf. And I'll tell you how we're using them. So it was just a quick short one today to show you what we're doing.